Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back. And today we're going to be reviewing the 1.6 update. A few changes, a few new toys, but I just wanted to go over everything so that we were all on the same page. So before we start going over the patch notes themselves, I was just going to show off some of the new additions on this update. So in the 1.6 update, we are getting the new Weiler machines. So we have the H457 and we also have the B457. So the difference between them, the B457 is for bunching. It has been set up with a buncher style arm. The cylinders are also set to work very well with the buncher style arm. So that is meant for bunching. The H457 is actually meant for harvesting. That's what the H is for. So very similar arm. The arm is identical in type, but the reach is a lot better on it. So great for processing. And it also has a different way that the cylinders work so that you can kind of reach further in different angles, which works great for processing. So these machines are awesome, beautiful. They look great. They work really, really well, especially if you're doing kind of close timber work. Like if you're working really tight areas, they have a really good turn radius. Inside the cab themselves, very open cab, lots of space. You can see a lot with them, which is super nice. Gives you lots of room out the front. There's not a lot of bars or anything that can kind of blind you. Same with the buncher. Cabs are identical, but it's just nice having all that extra room to kind of look around while you're working. It does give you quite the view. But yeah, so these are the new additions. I know we haven't had any Weiler stuff. It's basically the Caterpillar style cabs, and Weiler bought out the forestry division. So these machines are very, very similar, if not using the exact same parts as some of the Cat machines. And yeah, it's just kind of a different brand. I've had a lot of requests from people saying that we should bring some of this stuff in, and now we have it. So you guys can play with those till your hearts are content. So another addition is the Grapples, so new types of Grapples. So this is a Skitter grapple that has been mutated to be able to work on any of the attachment machines. It's also color selectable. You guys can set whatever color you want for the grapple itself. Now, this is something that's actually, I didn't think it was used very popular in logging companies. I just saw the odd guy had this custom style Skitter grapple attached in like TikTok videos and stuff, and I thought, man, that'd be a cool addition. But now I see Tiger Cats actually pushed out this grapple on its own that you can attach to their steep slope equipment. So actually it's pretty good timing for us. But yeah, basically all it is it's just a dangle grapple that the Skitter had. You can load trucks with it, unload trucks with it. You can work on steep slope stuff and drag trees around. I use it for piling, so you can grab a pretty good sized bundle and then just, whip them around and put them wherever you want in place. But it works super great, and I don't know, it's gonna be funny to see all the different combinations because you guys always come up with interesting stuff to do with these. So, but yeah, no, it's been a really good grapple so far. I've been playing around with it, and it works super great. I think you guys will like it. The other new grapple is the button top grapple. So this is just exactly the same as our current button top grapple, except one of the stabilizers has been removed off of this side. So there's no stabilizer on the other side. This is very popular in lots of pulpwood applications. I've had a few people that have emailed me saying, hey, can we take one of the cylinders off on one side because it'll be easier for loading? And I've actually seen videos of guys that have this in real life, a lot of them. So this option is now available in the Grapples for those people who wanted the one stabilizer version. The other two new additions, and these are just in-game, not really crazy new additions, but I've added the other two versions of the Mack trucks. So these are Giants' models, Giants, everything. They're just the in-game trucks, the other two options for the Macks. I've had lots of people saying that they wanted more options on trucks. They were tired of just having the one Logger Mack truck. So now we have the Anthem and the Superliner. The Superliner has been customized, so I put a headache rack on the back of it just because the original version didn't have any other options. So It's got a headache rack on the back. It is now color selectable, so you guys can set whatever color you want. The in-game one didn't give you that option. It only let you put different decals. So this one just will let you paint it whatever color you want. The Anthem is basically exactly the same as in-game. It's color selectable. You can set whatever backs you want on them. You can change your cab configuration, all that fun stuff in the menu. But yeah, they've also both been upgraded to the exact same standard of the FDR truck, like the Logger Max. So they're upgraded, heavier, beefier suspension, super crazy amount of power, so they can pull these machines and the logs and all that stuff on the FDR maps. So yeah, basically just 2 more options for trucks. In the future, we may be implementing more trucks, but at least you got 2 more you guys can play with for now. Okay, so that's all the new stuff, like toy-wise. Let's go over the actual update changes. There's not a crazy amount of changes on this update, but there's definitely some things that needed improvement. All maps. So all maps, they have a slight improvement to color grading and light contrast, which basically translates to more colorful maps and slightly darker shadows. So if we go out here, for instance, the color is slightly more colorful. I had a few people mention on other maps they were a little bit more colorful. The other maps were less gray looking. So I used pretty close to stock settings for these maps now. I did have the color turned down a little bit on them originally, but now they are a slightly more colorful. You guys will notice it's just greens are more greener, yellows are more yellow. It just looks a little bit more brighter in color. Also, the shadows are a little darker. People said that they were a little too bright on the last map. Now, I get on some maps, like the shadowed areas are completely like pitch black dark. And in real life, I totally understand the pitch blackness is wonderful and stuff. But when you're playing in this game, because there's not really a great contrast ratio in general, I like to have these areas a little more lit up when I'm working. That way you don't have to turn on your cab lights while you're working. You can just kind of process along and do your thing. I've had positive feedback about having lighter maps as opposed to having this all super really dark in this area. Because obviously when you come out in the sun, it's a brighter area. When you go in the dark, it's a darker area. Now again, on some maps, like you can see the variation between the light and the dark. On some maps, that dark area is like black, like almost pitch black, or like maybe not pitch black, but like a lot darker in the shaded areas. And I don't really like that effect on these maps, especially when you're playing, because again, then you do need to turn your lights on your machine all the time, and it's just extra work. And real life really isn't like that. Our eyes can adjust and be able to see in much lower light than this game offers. So anyway, it's not like a crazy change from the last map, but just a little bit more colorful and slightly darker areas on the shadowed bits. Okay, all track machines. So on all the track machines, we've improved the scratch detail on the track plates. Now, what I mean by that, so if we look up real close, do you see all these little kind of nicks and looks like grime and kind of scratch marks and all kinds of stuff on the tracks as I kind of hover around here? So in the last update, we didn't have any of that. These tracks were just completely bare, clean, almost looked like cartoony. And that was my own fault for not checking. On some of the tracks, it had the shader, and then others it didn't. So now all of the tracks have that kind of nice, glinty, scratch, kind of used look, I guess you could say. But anyway, not a huge deal, but just something I noticed that I wanted fixed. All these skitters now have improved weight and suspension balance, better for dragging heavy trees. So this is a kind of another in-between controversial thing. So I've had some people who are real-life skitter operators that say the machines don't drag the logs very realistically. They say that they bounced around a lot, and in real life, these things can just mow through these logs like it's no big deal. So I've been trying my best to try to find a balance between what feels realistic and what is actually still playable in the game. Obviously, in real life, if you grab something that's too heavy, your machine will just kind of do a tip, and you'll know it's too heavy. Sometimes in this game, when you're hauling something that's really heavy, the head freaks out and flaps around because the physics don't want to play nice, and it's not realistic. So these guys have been beefed up quite extremely. Sorry, one sec here. Just So they've been beefed up a lot more extremely. They can haul way heavier skids with less effect on the actual skidder. It may be, in my opinion, still a little bit more than it should be. Like, they're a little bit heavier than they should be. So, for instance, let's pick up... Well, let's not get too crazy here. Let's say that's our drag. Sure. And I put my locking strap on. So now you're able to haul kind of these heavier logs around without the machine really losing its grip on the ground and its balance. So I'm just going to dump these here for a second. I'm just actually going to see, I don't think I have any big trees down. No, I don't. So, like, for instance, on this map, we have these really, really big, huge trees, and these are really, really heavy. When you tried hauling them with even the Clark or any of the skidders, what would happen was you'd go to turn your machine, like you'd go to turn it from side to side, and you'd actually start losing traction while you're hauling, and, you know, you'd lift your front tires up a little bit, but trying to actually turn and keep your skids even it was really hard with some of the bigger trees. So now with the new beefier weights on the skidders themselves, we're able to control the trees a lot better when you're going to the landing. So again, this is going to be controversial because some people might prefer the way that they were, having them a little bit weaker in terms of weight. But honestly, this will give you more control, especially in multiplayer when you're building landings. You're not fighting with it as much. Honestly, I'll wait for feedback to see what everybody says about that, but you guys can try out the new skidders and let me know how it goes. So far in testing, it's worked out pretty well, so we'll see. Button top grapples. So actually all grapples. I've done a little bit of work cleaning them up to make them look a little bit better. So on the button top grapple, for instance, I've added cylinders on the actual claw arms, because there was no cylinders in there before. So, something to talk about cylinders for anybody who's actually curious. A whole bunch of people have always been like, Jordan, why are the cylinders not in the right places? They need to be up on the arm itself. And I totally get you. I know what a cylinder looks like in real life. So, in real life, in reality, this cylinder is not connected to the claw itself. The cylinder, which is that piece in the middle there, would be connected up top here and then to the claw. So that's pushing off of the actual base to the claw. Now, because I use direct physics instead of delayed mesh physics, I can't put that on there. Otherwise, when you go to close the claw, even if you have the reference nodes correct, the cylinder will actually like float through the grapple and float through the arms, and it looks really god-awful. So I've had to put the cylinder itself onto the actual claw arm itself. So that's why the cylinders are connected kind of to the actual claw, which again I know is not realistic, but at least the cylinders are still there, so it looks like there's a cylinder there. It's kind of like a fake cylinder almost, because they don't actually work properly. But I've added it just for the detail of having them, because I've had a few people mention, how come the button top arms don't have cylinders of any kind on the claw themselves? Now they do. Again, they are just fake ones. They don't actually articulate or move due to the way the physics are set up. So they have a little chunk of shielding on there protecting it, and it just gives it an overall better look while you're operating, and hopefully that'll fix the concerns from those that had those concerns. The other difference is I've cleaned them up a little bit and added kind of a connection joint. So kind of like where that cylinder is connected to the back end, it looks like it's actually part of the grapple now. In the previous updates, that piece of cylinder was kind of floating on the grapple. It looked like it was just kind of hanging there. So I'm doing my best to go back and clean up this stuff to try to make everything connected in a way that isn't floating. When I actually set this stuff up originally, a lot of this stuff I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. So in the updates, I just stuck it on there and said, yeah, good enough. So now I'm kind of going back and trying to detail and make things actually nice. Same with like this connection here for the stabilizer arm. Excuse me. The stabilizer arm used to have like a cylinder weird circle thing that connected the arm to the head, and it didn't look very good. Now we have kind of like a nicer joint that connects it, just to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic. So yeah, a little bit of detailing on all of that stuff, which makes it look a little bit better. Timber Pro forwarder. Okay, well, I don't have one of those on the map right now, but so on the Timber Pro, for whatever reason in my last update, when I did the arm extension, I accidentally pulled the boom up. So basically the boom was out of the socket on the Timber Pro in the last update, and it looked really god-awful. I'm trying to get on top of this thing so I can look in there. There's another boom. How about this one? Can we get on top of this one? Come on, let me up there. Oh yeah, so basically where the boom goes down and connects in there, it was like popped right out floating in the air, and that was my own mistake for not double checking that. But anyway, in this update, the Timber Pro has the boom situated back where it's supposed to be so it doesn't look all weird and glitchy. Dangle grapple. So any of the dangle grapples, which I do not have on this map as well, increase the strength of them. So when you're pulling logs out of a pile, it's way easier to grab and lift with them. In the last update, it felt like they were a little weak, so you try to grab from a pile and they'd kind of like slide on the top of the logs, and it was really hard to pick up. Now they have a really nice grip improvement so that you can lift and pull better. The pulpwood grapple, same difference. I improved the grip on it, but also fixed the swing. So when you're turning logs, it doesn't do the jerking motion as much when you're spinning. 'Cause before it would kind of like get to a point where it would rotate and then it would jump and do this kind of weird thing. So it doesn't do that as much anymore. Oh, the LTEX. Here we go. That's a good one. Where are the LTEX? We'll get back to this. Oh, hey, while we're here, Logger Mac, on both versions of the Logger Mac, so the hauling version and the one with the little bunk, I fixed these amber lights that are on top of the cab. They used to not light up, and somebody mentioned that in a bug report. So now they light up. Before they did not, but now up there they do have amber lighting applied to them. That was just my fault for not typing in a right number somewhere. So yes, amber lights work on all of these now. So one of the bigger issues that we had was the both LTEC bunchers. So not the harvester versions, but the buncher versions, both had an issue with the boom. So basically what would happen was when you extended the boom out, what would happen was the arm itself was shrinking in a really glitchy way. And when I first got the bug report, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But after I actually came in and played with it, I knew exactly what they meant. So what happened was when I redid the buncher version and the harvester version of these, I lowered the actual length of the arm itself. So the boom and the stick got shortened for the buncher version, just so that you'd keep the distance closer to the cab so it was more stable. Now, what happened is when I changed these, I didn't freeze... anyway, you probably won't know what this means, but freeze, basically you freeze it so that it stays at a base state. You freeze the transformation. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that, but the object wasn't frozen properly. So then basically what happened was the game was trying to keep it proportional all the time. So every time you went to extend your arm, instead of it actually extending properly like it is now, what would happen is that arm would actually shrink. It would get super small and super big and then it would go really, really long and then really, really short. And what was actually happening is it would affect your ability to bunch because as you extended your arm out, it was actually shrinking. So you weren't actually getting distance for a little bit. So you'd be like pushing, but your arm wasn't actually going out. Anyway, it was a really annoying glitch, and it is fixed. So now the 317B and the 277B buncher versions have both been corrected. They don't have that issue anymore. So again, thanks for that. So again, anybody who has issues that they find in any of these updates or just in general, if you go to www.fdrlogging.com/bug reporting, there's a form that you can fill out with all the details of what bug you found. And people have been sending these in left and right, and it's been working out great because I can make a compiled list of all of the problems that you guys find, and I can kind of make a note of things and correct them as I go. Some things that are sent to the bug reporting are just things that I can't correct. They're part of the game. They're part of the game's physics engine. Some things are just not correctable. We have to deal with what we got. But if you guys find weird stuff, issues, by all means, definitely send in a report because it does help me compile lists. And with so many different machines, there are things that I sometimes miss and sometimes things that you guys notice that is worth reporting. So again, thank you for everybody with their feedback. It does help me build stuff. I'm excited for this update. I think you guys are going to have a blast with it. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.